Hi, my name is Sherri Allen, and I'm the instructor for the impact of radio on our lives and self-awareness through improvisation at MiraCosta College. I began teaching there in 2007, and Jordan and Judy Lawson were already students in an improv class taught by a woman named Bree, who retired, and then I took over that class in 2008. Jordan and Judy have been my longest students ever, most loyal, devoted, wonderful people. They are like family to me. I started teaching a class in the impact of radio on our lives, which was about the golden age of radio, is about the golden age of radio, starting in 2009, and Jordan was the heart and soul of that class. We all loved him so much, and so a few of us wanted to get together and have a little celebration of life for him and a remembrance of Jordan Lawson. And so it was short notice, but these are the people who were able to join us on Zoom. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you all for being here today. I know it was really short notice. Hi, Carol. So good to see you, and Ruth Ann, and Lynn, and Evelyn, and Brenda, and Lisa, and Anita. I'm so glad you're able to join us to share some lovely remembrances and fond stories about Jordan. And so I just wanted to mention a little bit that I started teaching. I took over the improv class in 2008, spring of 2008, from a woman named Bree, and Jordan and Judy had already been taking that class for a number of years. And they, since 2008, oh, here come a couple more people. So I just wanted to give you guys just a little bit of background about that. Hi, Greg, welcome. Angel, I think it's Angel. Yes, hi, Angel, or maybe it's Lynn, I can't quite tell. So I just wanted to mention that Jordan and Judy are like family to me, really, because they were there from the beginning, and I just love them so much. And so just briefly, Jordan was always interested in writing. And I don't know if you guys know this, you probably do, but he was a stutterer his whole life. And he had gotten into a production of Fiddler on the Roof in his community theater production, and it really changed things for him because he realized that if he had scripted material, he didn't stutter. So it really helped him to overcome that stuttering. And apparently he had wanted to be a screenwriter as well. He had a number of jobs. He worked for Marineland in sales and as a buyer for the gift shops, but he wanted to be a screenwriter, so he had an arsenal of scripts in his back pocket that he wanted to see them produced. And in 2017, he submitted Kronteron, as some of you know, and that was his science fiction script. And it was in front of a live audience, and it was very dramatic and very long, and I had to really edit that down so that we could do it in front of a live audience. And he was so excited about that, and that started the writing craze for our radio class, where we kind of got away from scripts about the golden age of radio and started writing scripts in the style of the golden age of radio. And then he wrote Kronteron 2 when we went on Zoom, and we produced that. And then other people, Lisa wrote a Christmas script that featured characters from Kronteron, and I believe Craig Leimkuehler also wrote a Kronteron infused script. So people are now doing their tributes and homages to Jordan, and his characters live on. It's such a lovely tribute to him that you all kind of embraced his scripts and really started writing. I also want to mention that I encourage you all to share some favorite memories. One of my favorite memories of Jordan was in a script that Greg wrote. It was a Western, Wagon Master, I believe it was called, and Greg wrote a character for a talking horse played by Jordan, and Greg made these hysterically funny ears that were donkey ears, and oh my gosh, they're right there. So and they looked like reminded me of Bottom in A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I just thought it was such a perfect role. And I also want to mention just the arsenal of roles that Jordan mastered, including his, he had a tough thug character, kind of a mob boss. He did Western characters. He wrote scripts about jolly old England. He just had just so many creative, clever, wonderful ideas. And he was just really, as I mentioned in my email, the heart and soul of our class. And he and Judy, just wonderful life partners and team members. So let me just tell you quickly that I had been in touch with Jordan and Judy, and they moved up to Torrance to be closer to their son. I moved into sort of a retirement community, and in spring of 2022. And so, by the way, Jordan did participate in our Zoom radio class, which was a huge learning curve for him, but he participated, learned to use Zoom. It was not easy for him, and he just did a wonderful job of that. And that he, by the way, since the beginning, he was submitting scripts to me year round. I'm talking about over Christmas break, over summer break. He never stopped submitting scripts to me. I was overwhelmed with scripts, but he would submit them one page at a time. So I was constantly having to compile them into one document, or he'd give me the hard copy of it, which means I had to type it. So it was a lot of work, but he was just such a wonderful, giving, talented man. So I was in touch with Judy, and she did inform me that on April 30th that he passed away, and he had a number of health issues, and they had been together 68 years together. They married for 65 years. They met when they were 16 years old. She was 16 and he was 18 years old, and they got married when she was 20 and he was 22. And so it's, it's her life partner, and it's just a devastating loss for her. And we can only imagine how that must be for her. But I know that we all send our love to the family. And so I just wanted to open it up to all of you. If anybody wants to share a favorite memory of Jordan, you can raise your hand physically or virtually, and we can go around. Okay, and if you don't mind, I'll spotlight you. So Anita, I'm going to spotlight you right now.
I, of course, joined Sherri's radio and improv class when I could, and Jordan was always there. And you always knew when Jordan arrived because he'd stand in the doorway and start having a conversation from the doorway with Sherri in the front of the room. No matter what was going on, there was Jordan, and with his announcement that he was there and he was going to say what he had to say. And so when class started, he was always telling off-story things. And that's because, of the time that he grew up and the time that I grew up, comedians did that. And it was acceptable. And you heard it on the radio, you heard it on television all the time. And Sherri had to keep telling him, Jordan, keep it G-rated. Now, this was every week, because you can all remember that. Every week. And, he never stopped doing it. And then he always stayed after class to talk quite a while, he and Judy did. And then we'd say goodbye to them. And I'll be darned if we didn't run into them in the 99-cent store afterwards, which is one place we all went for the bargain prices. But anyway, that's what I remember about Jordan and Judy.
Oh, thanks for sharing. Yeah, he loved being naughty. He loved pushing the boundaries and trying to get his blue humor in there. And I always had to, and he loved it. He loved when I reined him back in. But he not only did he emulate Whose Line Is It Anyway, where they do that kind of thing, but again, those sort of Borscht Belt comics from the 1950s where they used a lot of edgy, not edgy necessarily, but a lot of innuendo in their comedy. So I always had to kind of rein him back in because it was not, it's a classroom. But yeah, we loved running into them at the dollar store. We'd chat all over again. And it was just so funny because we'd run into them 5 minutes later after we'd just talked to them for a long time. Okay, Brenda, if you don't mind, I'm just going to spot you right here.
I have a very, very short story about running into Jordan and Judy. It was my first class that I ever took with you, Sherri, and it happened to be improv. And after the class, I went over to Trader Joe's, and guess who I ran into? Jordan and Judy. Not knowing them and not knowing anybody in the class, I really just kind of smiled, one of our phony smiles that you give somebody, and went about, did my shopping, and they went about and did their shopping. We both ended up at the check stand at exactly the same time to check out. And I looked over at them and I said, we've got to quit meeting like this, which completely tore them both up. And ever since that time, we were very good friends from that particular point on. And I love Jordan's sense of humor, Judy's participation in his work. You couldn't ask for a better couple. I wish Judy was here with us so that I could give her my love, but I'm sure she'll get it off of this, Sherri. I thank you for doing this.
And I'm going to go to Lisa next.
Okay. And then the other thing too I remember is he was especially fond of cookies. I remember he liked to eat a lot of cookies in those that break room over at MiraCosta. Maybe Jordan and Judy just enjoying cookies. And then, oh, that's neat. He liked cookies. So that was
and they were very social, very social. They loved a meeting, in any room at any time. They would be there, any place, just to be social and interact with everyone like that. Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa. Lynn, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you here.
She said to me, "You need to join the class. You're going to fall in love." And 11 years later, I'm still in love with him. Miss him more than you can imagine. He even wrote one of those little plays with me in mind. And I feel, and I really mean this, that he's not gone. And he never will be for me, and probably for most of you. Jordan and Judy.
But I wanted to say that Judy is also, a fabulous actress, and the two of them, Jordan wrote a script called Mamala, and Jordan and Judy performed that. Here comes. And I wanted to mention that Jordan wrote a script called Mamala, and he and Judy performed it for the Expressions audience. Because it had gotten into Expressions, and it was just such a wonderful, lovely script that I'm going to share that with you all now, and then we'll come back on the other side if anyone wants to share out from there. So he wrote so many scripts, by the way. Actually, before I show Mamala, I want to share just Jordan's a little snippet from talking about the golden age of radio. So let me do that right here. He was in our promo video, and I just bookmarked Jordan talking about the class. So let's share that first.
We get to read scripts from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, radio scripts, and we get that's also a type form of acting, and we have a ball. We did Burns and Allen and Jack Benny show, and some of the mystery theaters. We do a live performance for guests who want to attend at no charge. So I urge all of you to come and see us at no charge. In fact, I'll pick up the tab. How's that?
Okay. This is Jordan and Judy performing Mamala and Sammy Visit Disneyland. This is actually the follow-up to the original Mamala script that he did. So he introduced Judy and he said, "This is my wife," apparently, or something like that.
Lawson, this is my wife, Judy Lawson.
Coincidentally. Can you hear this? It's not very loud, is it? I'm going to put on the closed captions. Here we go.
We're going to, as Sherri had said, we're going to perform a piece that I wrote a while ago. This is a sequel to an original one, and I hope you Enjoy it. It's entitled Mamala and Sammy Visit Disneyland.
Oh, so many people. What is this place?
Mamala, this is Disneyland in 1955. It just opened.
And those creatures over there? What are they?
Oh, that's Mickey and Minnie Mouse.
Did you hear me a giant mice? They're even bigger than the bats that I had in Russia.
Never mind, Mamala. I know. Oh, Mamala, look who's coming over here.
Oh, such a schöne Mädel.
Yes, she is a pretty girl.
Oh, what is she? Is she a princess?
She is Snow White.
Remind me again, Bubala.
Well, from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. She cooked the meals, washed the dishes, cleaned the cabin of the Seven Dwarfs. It's a fairy tale, Mama.
How is that a fairy tale? It sounds like what I do all the time. What is that fat man over there?
Oh, that's Humpty Dumpty.
Remind me, please, Bubala, again.
Well, he fell off a wall, and all the king's horses, and all the king's men. Put it back together again.
I know, so we have to face the audience.
Oh.
Boy, such a klutz and such a king. I am Mensch. Much better than the Tsar, but we had it back in Russia.
Oh, look. You want to go on a spinning teacups ride?
Do you want my borscht and my herring to decorate your new shirt? I don't think so, Sherri.
Well, how about a rocket ride to the moon?
Don't be a sugar now. There will never be any rocket to the moon.
Oh, then tell me what you want to do, Mamala. We came all this way for opening day of Disneyland.
I don't want to schlep around no more. Let's just sit.
I didn't pay a whole $15. I just said. Tell you what, Mamala, let's come back in a few years when it's less crowded and the entry fee has gone down.
Smart boy, Shmuel. Such a smart boy.
Thank you, Mamala.
Jordan loved a live audience. He absolutely loved a live audience. And as you can see, they were both pros at working the crowd and just integrating their personalities into, feeding off the audience. It was marvelous. Hey, Craig, welcome. Did you want to share a thought about Jordan?
He was a delight to work with. I enjoyed his writing and performing his scripts, and he's a great actor, do the gangster bits, and I'm very proud of knowing him and working with him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There were a lot of Yiddish words in the script that Jordan wrote that the auto captions did not accurately translate. For example, it was the czar, not the DAR.
I noticed.
Yeah. Let me share another short one that he did. So that was the Disneyland script. And then I also have just a tiny bit of a script called It Will Never Work. And I was just going to share little snippets of some different characters that he played. So let me screen share this one. This was when we were on Zoom.
The scene opened in a local park. Larry Wimple was sitting on the ground meditating. A neighbor, Missy Barnes, walks up.
What you doing, Mr. Wimple?
I'm meditating, Missy.
Medicating? What's the doctor making you take?
No, I'm meditating, trying to become my higher self.
Wow. You can't be any higher than you were the other night coming home from the bar.
Hey, Missy, you want to get married? I ain't never been married before.
Sure, Mr. Wimple. I'll run home and tell Mom.
This scene takes place in the suburban home of Ruth Barnes, a divorced mother of a naive 19-year-old girl, Missy Barnes. Missy has just burst into the living room of their home.
Mom, I think I'm in love with Mr. Wimple. What? Are you sick? He's 84 and you are 19. I know, but he's always nice to me. Being nice is one thing. Being married is another. Where would you live? He says there's an empty room next to his at the rest home. He's 84 years old. How would you consummate the marriage? Consummate? What does soup have to do with it? No, not consummate. Consummate. It's how you express your love. Well, he says he would take me to a ball game. Oh, I just realized I never talked to you about the birds and the bees. What the heck do birds and bees have to do with anything? Well, loving couples are joined in matrimony, and that's where babies come from. Not babies came from the hospital. Oh, this is going to take a while. Hello, Mr. Wimple. Just the man I wanted to talk to.
Howdy, Mrs. Barnes. You let me out of Shady Acres Rest Home so I could talk to you too.
What's this I hear that you and my 19-year-old daughter want to be married?
Well, I ain't never been married before, but I say better late than never.
How could you possibly think about marrying a 19-year-old girl? That could be fatal.
Oh my. Well, if she dies, she dies.
Tell you what, Mr. Wimple, go back to your rest home and find a nice, lonely lady your own age. You both will be very happy.
Okay.
There you have it, the perfect example of Borscht Belt comedy, an old joke, a naughty old joke that Jordan translated into a just a funny little script. So here's another clip of Jordan. This is The Adventures of Space Cadet Willie Dumore, and I believe you wrote this one, Craig. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone is stealing Orion's belt, and headquarters has asked us to capture the villain and bring him to justice. I needn't tell you what would happen if Orion's belt is stolen.
Orion's pants will fall down.
No, they will find the asteroid of pure flybium discovered by my daughter, Dr. Nell Dunn, in Orion's belt.
Flybium is what allows the space cadets to travel through space. Just then, an urgent message crosses the desk of I Am Dunn.
Good heavens, that fiend Dr. Snively Smudgepot has kidnapped my daughter, Dr. Nell Dunn, and is demanding she marry him and reveal the location of the flybium.
Jordan loved science fiction, and he submitted loads of sci-fi scripts, and then Craig would started writing and infused melodrama with that, which was so funny, and parody and satire. It made it so much fun. And Jordan loved supporting all of his fellow classmates in their endeavors, in their script writing. And so it was just, he was game for anything. He really was. And by the way, did I mention he loved watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? And he would constantly say to me, well, they do this on Whose Line. They can say it on Whose Line. Why can't I say it in here? And I said, well, Jordan, it's a classroom. We have to be a little bit more careful. And Lisa wrote in the chat, perhaps we can continue producing Jordan scripts. And in fact, we have, whenever I am short of scripts, I look back on some of the scripts that Jordan has submitted and I use them. And I had sent the video to Jordan and Judy of last spring's class because he had to drop out. He couldn't complete the semester because they were in the middle of their big move. And he was so thrilled that we had done one of his scripts. And in fact, when we did Krontiron 2 on Zoom, he actually wasn't in the final production, but he loved seeing it. He was so thrilled to get to see that. A commercial that he wrote, which was a Marlboro cigarette ad, and it's very short, so I'll share that one next.
Video theater program is sponsored by Marlboro filtered cigarettes, the only cigarette recommended by a now deceased doctor. Yes, sir. Before he left us, Dr. Fishburne said, I don't recommend that you smoke, but if you must smoke, Marlboro filtered cigarettes will offer you the best protection against the incredibly harmful ingredients in tobacco. The protection is located right at the end here. At the end of each cigarette in the form of this teeny tiny filter. It's a new invention and it's here to stay. Here's a comment from one of our best customers.
Well, I can honestly say that smoking cigarettes changed my life.
How is that, sir?
I can't sing tenor in my church choir anymore.
Try Marlboro cigarettes today.
Wonderful, and great work by everyone involved in all of these scripts, I must say. I see Greg's hand up. So Greg, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you if that's all right.
Wow, I remember Jordan so well. I wrote two things that I had him in, Wonder Boy, which also Craig and Lisa were in. Craig played Wonder Boy and Lisa played the sweetest girl in the world, I think, something like that. But Jordan played Dr. Creepy, and boy, he was like such a great character actor. He was stunning. He was, and that voice, he really had a signature voice, and he was definitely a character actor. Or I thought of him that way, and he was had a lot of presence. So I remember him that. And then obviously when I did Wagon Master, I had to write a part of my horse. That was there's the horse right there.
Oh my God.
And it was an important part, but because the wagon master would confide to his horse, and talk to him during hard times. And he was really perfect. He played Checkers the horse.
So funny. And this was in front of a live audience, which he thrived on live audiences. So the audio may not be as great as it could be because it's from far away, but let's see if we can get a clip where Jordan's up there wearing those ridiculous ears, which you made. And by the way, Greg, if you want to tell everybody about how you made the props for the last show at MiraCosta.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to screen share right now a little snippet from Wagon Master. I believe we get to see the ears shortly. So let's see.
Great.
Your Wagon Master, I won't let you down.
Thanks. Now it's getting late, and let's hit the hay. We got a mighty big river to cross tomorrow.
It's early morning the next day, and Wagon Master is having coffee with Checkers, his talking horse.
Would you like another bucket of coffee, Checkers?
Sure would. Could I have a splash of milk with that?
You got it. I gotta tell you something, Checkers. You're a beautiful horse. You don't know how lucky you are to be a horse.
The wagon train people Getting you down again.
People complain too much. I mean, whatever happened to the good people with sinewy limbs that built this country? They never complain.
Excuse me, Mr. Wagon Master?
Well, good morning, little Daisy. How can I help you?
Can you tell me something?
Sure I can.
What's Escondido like?
Oh, it's a magical place. A land of milk and honey.
Ooh, it sounds kind of sticky.
Well, not exactly, but it's a fine place to live in. Oh, they got lakes and waterfalls, and there's a Jamba Juice on every corner.
Gee, that sounds nice.
It is, but first we gotta cross the Killapuchie River.
The wagon train is stopped on the banks of the mighty Killapuchie River. Water is high and dangerous. Holy smokers! Look at that nasty river!
And this is the calm part. About a mile down is a giant waterfall. Yep, this river has claimed many lives, including a number of folk singers.
Oh, no, somebody help. Right away, sir. Little Daisy has gotten stuck in the nearby quicksand.
Let's ride, men. We're on our way, Lizzie.
Help! I'm sinking fast and I'm only 4.5 years old.
Hang in there, little Daisy. We're gonna get you out.
This is so sad. I haven't been to Legoland yet.
Here, Snuffy, tie this rope to Checkers. And then, Checkers, you back up and pull out Daisy.
But how are we gonna get the rope to Daisy?
Oh, I didn't think of that part. Yet. And Lemon, do you have any ideas?
I'll get to her. I'll crawl out on my belly, and I'll give her the rope. Here, Daisy.
Oh, that is so sweet, Lemon. You're so brave and so reminiscent of Doris Day.
Help! Help! Snakes are eating my big tail!
And I'll go ahead and stop that there. You know, that was some great production value too. That was so funny, Greg.
Oh, I completely forgot some of those lines. Lemon, yeah. And this river has claimed a number of people, including some folk singers.
You hysterically funny. Oh my gosh. I want to go back and watch all of our old radio shows, which by the way are all on Zoom. So truly, as Lynn said, Jordan does live on in all of those wonderful radio shows past that we can always go back and watch. So yes, and if anybody else wants to share any memories, by the way, kudos to everybody who has acted with our class over the years. You are all just magnificent human beings and so talented and funny and wonderful, and all of your great work lives on Zoom. So I just am thrilled that we have that there that we can go back and look at. Let's see, was that your hand, Ruth Ann? No. Okay. And I'm going to spotlight Barry next.
One of the programs for spring 2018, Oh God, Where Art Thou? Joke adapted by Jordan Lawson. He played a stubborn man. I was a frustrated rescuer, and God was Dwight Smart.
Oh, sorry about
Take
that.
it away, fellas.
Oh my God! It's been raining for 5 straight days. I'm sitting on my roof and the water keeps rising. God will save me, I know it.
Hey, mister, down here. Jump in the boat. I can save you.
No. God will save me. I know it. God will save me. Where are you, God? I go to church every Sunday, and I live a good, clean life. Save me, God. Save me.
Hey, buddy, up here in the helicopter. Get a ladder and the rope, and I'll pull you up to safety.
No. God will save me. I know it.
Are you sure the water's up to your roof? Yeah, that too. seeing you.
You did? When? Where? I didn't see you.
What do you mean you didn't see me? First I sent you a rescue boat, and you refused. Then I sent a helicopter, and you refused it. What more do you want?
That was you?
Who else? Look, come on up to heaven and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Finally, we listen in as two pals debate the afterlife in Is There Baseball in Heaven?
We see two seniors talking to each other. One's holding a baseball bat. They have baseball caps on. Say, George, that was a good game.
Yeah, I'm glad we won.
You know, George, we're getting older. Get ready for that big trip up to heaven.
Don't remind me.
You know, I was wondering, what do you think? Do they play baseball in heaven?
Oh, I know. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, it would. Tell you what, let's make a pact. The first one to die has got to try and come back down and tell the other one if they play baseball in heaven.
You got a deal.
Sure enough. My pal George passes away the next year. Shortly after that, I was walking in Central Park. One day when up in the sky I see a flash of lightning and a My God, George, you made it back. Tell me, did he play baseball in heaven?
Well, Max, I've got good news and bad news.
What's the good news?
Yes, Max. They do play baseball in heaven.
That is good news. What's the bad news?
You're pitching on Sunday.
Oh my gosh, so many wonderful memories. You know, it's just kind of the end of an era with, with Jordan's passing. And I know we all loved him so dearly. He's got a special place in my heart. I remember his kids gave him for his 80th birthday a giant book on the golden age of radio. And what did he do? He gave it to me. I know. Oh my gosh. They knew how important it was to him and how much he loved his radio class. And then he thought that, that it should stay with the class. So he gave that to me. And I'm going to send this video out to his family and kids. If this is the first time you're hearing this, I'm really sorry about that. But I have that radio book now, and but it will be always forever sort of Jordan's legacy to the class, along with all of those wonderful scripts and videos and all of that acting and the wonderful camaraderie and family that he created with his classmates. We all loved him so much, and it just will never be the same without him. And if anybody has any final things that you want to share about, I'm going to spotlight Anjel next.
Everyone spoke so eloquently.
Oh, well,
I think very much to say.
Aww.
I just wanted to chip in enough to say that Jordan was unfailingly funny and interested and creative, and he always looked so pleased to see me. His face would light up. And he would so often have questions or be writing something British and just want to talk. And it was just so wonderful. And I'm glad that we could all get together. And sorry to miss the funeral. I'd love to see what else people have to say about Jordan, his long life. And the 65 years, Judy's really had a wonderful long run with him. And I'm glad we got to as well.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Anjel. And they are an example to us all. I know that they set such a beautiful, shining example of what it means to be life partners. Just really beautiful. I'm going to spotlight Lisa next. Okay, Lisa, go ahead.
In the past, you've sung that Carol Burnett song, and I wonder if could be a little appropriate to Jordan and Judy. But I
just want to say thank you all. I know we all wanted to take a moment to share our fond memories of Jordan, because we loved him so much. And I'll make sure that his family sees this. So right now, I'm no singer, but I'll be happy to sing us out. I'm so glad we have this time together, just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just get started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. We love you, Jordan, forever, and we love you too, Judy. Our deepest condolences to you and your entire family.